Good morning. I don't know about you, but I love those beautiful sunrises and sunsets that we often get. And we have both where I live, so very fortunate there. And especially the former, just look out the back window and there it is across the valley. Waking up this morning, getting ready to go fishing, I decided to get some brief footage of that. Fantastic. I've cast out. Be even more fantastic if I can get a fish on the bank. First of all though, the initial cup of tea of the day to fire me up and get me going. It's very slow on this lake at the moment. You know that from my blog posts if you follow them on a regular basis. Not even a liner, a pluck, or a tap, never mind a bite proper this morning. And I think that's evident in the fact that I invariably have the lake to myself in recent sessions. Just one other person on here today, and from what I've seen, he hasn't caught either. But that's the way it is, isn't it? And we don't know why sometimes. You always try to work out why, but sometimes you don't know, and that's what makes angling what it is really, isn't it? If you knew in advance what you would catch, how big it would be, and at what time you caught it, it would totally take away that element of surprise, of the unknown that angling has for all of us. I can remember when I was a child, even the tiniest ponds in my mind had a big monster in there, a big perch, a big roach. They never did, of course, full of stunted fish, the type of pools and ponds that I'm thinking of. But for me, as a child, that was what drove me on. The unknown, the element of catching something that was going to be a record-breaking fish in my own mind. And I think even though we grow up and we mature, we become adults, there's still that element, isn't there, that's important when we go fishing. And I am putting this out as a blog post. I do anyway, whether I catch well or not catch at all, or sometimes somewhere in between. I always put the blog posts out because that's the reality of fishing, isn't it? It's the reality of life. We have good days, we have bad days, and we have indifferent ones. And it's important to share the big picture if you are a blogger. So I always put a blog post out, not always a video if I don't catch, because there's obviously not much to show or to talk about in that sense. But I did enjoy that sunrise this morning. I wanted to get that out there. And if you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to check out the website and all the stuff that's on there. In fact, if you're on YouTube, in the description box, there's always a link to that month's set of blog posts. Usually quite a few, mostly with a video, but not always. I am going to give it another 10 minutes or so this morning. In fact, as you can see, got my coat on now. It's got chillier as the morning has wore on. Been watching the birds. A few swifts still hanging around, about 10 actually. They're still feeding over the lake, and there's about 40 house martins there in migration flight. They'd stopped over, obviously water, great place for that type of bird to feed. They'll be moving on in due course. The year moves on, life moves on, doesn't it? But good news to me this morning when I stepped on the scales again, I've lost another pound. Austerity August. I'm doing very well, thank you. But halfway through the month, and I've still got a few more pounds to shed.